Hello everyone. This course offered through the ISPP Academy explore extremism to the lens of political psychology. Now we start with the concept and definition. Extremism is deviation from accepted behavior. Now, individual seen as extremists when their political view diverge from the majority on what is considered normal. While radicalism is a belief or action aimed at changing something fundamentally, a process involving shift in belief, emotion, and behavior to increase support in political conflict. And terrorism, defined by Smith as the use of threat of unlawful violence to achieve political goal. We will discuss extremism and radicalization through the following three theoretical perspectives. One is personality and motivational, also identity. From the personality perspective, there has been a time to link terrorism using psychoanalytical approach. However, the most prominent recent work under personality perspective is militant extremist mindset, which initially was developed using bottom-up approach of analyzing extremist texts. Militant extremist mindset, or MEM, is a set of belief, feeling, thought, and motivation that tend to be mobilized under facilitating condition and might lead to violent behavior. The construct assumes that there are individual differences that predispose some individuals to be more violent than others. Saucer et al. Has developed three constructs of MEM, consist of nastiness or pro-violent, grudge or west, and excuse or divide. Nastiness is accepted or violent, while grudge is there is something wrong with west or world, and excuse or divide is there is justification for this action. Recent study has shown that MEM is linked with subclinical personality disorder. Individuals with this trait tend to think more like an extremist. A study by Fordham found that some of the subclinical personality disorder were able to predict MEM construct. While Arifin et al. Also find that disintegration, a trait of proneness to psychotic-like experience and behavior, was correlated with three of the MEM construct in both in the general and extremist population. While MEM, especially the nastiness component, act as the mediator between the disintegration trait with radical intention. There are criticisms about personality perspective in explaining extremism, as no single unique profile of extremists has been identified. A terrorist organization comprises members who come from diverse backgrounds. For example, Bin Laden was highly educated, while Zarqawi was not so affluent. Analyzing suicide bomber and analysis found no documented mental illness such as depression, psychosis, or past suicide attack. However, as argued by Kroblansky et al., this conclusion should not be taken to suggest that stable personality traits are irrelevant to violent extremism. Individual differences like trait and mindset are better characterized as contributing factors that make them vulnerable to extremism. From motivational perspective, there is significant quest theory. Significant quest theory developed by Kurganski et al. Assume there is a basic need to have social worth and matters to others. That's called significant. This sense of significance is satisfied by matching the value cherished by their community. Thus, from the SQT perspective, the motivation for violent extremism stems from the need to restore or gain personal significance in a way that is valued by the community or culture, individual or in. This need for significance becomes stronger during crises, such as experience of failure. In the case of violent extremism, individuals adopt violent means because they perceive violence as the most socially valued and normatively endorsed form of action within their community. And the other motivational perspective is goal system theory. As QT explained, radical behavior using the goal system theory perspective as a condition of fundamental imbalance between one central or focal existential goal and a person's other goal. Individuals with strong desire for significance tend to focus on serving a single goal through a single means in their ideological pursuit and are more likely to justify instrumental action as meaningful or ideological and treat them as a sacred value. This quest for significance, when taken to the extremism, can make individuals more vulnerable to engaging in radical and violent action. The next is identity perspective. Identity perspective. There is two theories in explaining extremism. One is uncertainty identity theory. Uncertainty identity theory explains extremism through the perspective of social identity theory. People are motivated to reduce feeling of uncertainty about themselves, which they fulfill by using group identity. Identifying with a group can reduce self-uncertainty, and highly entitative group, those that are distinct and clearly defined, like extremist group, are the most effective in reducing self-uncertainty. The other theory is identity fusion theory. From the identity fusion theory, assume we have two identities, which is the personal and social self. Identity fusion theory postulates the phenomenon of fusion, a visceral sense of oneness with a group in which the personal self and social self remain simultaneously salient and mutually reinforcing, motivating individuals to engage in extreme pro-group behavior. Next, we will discuss theories on radicalization. Theories on radicalization can be categorized into stage theory and non-stage theories. Stage theories postulate a discontinuous path. Each stage is characterized by different characteristics. Change is assumed to be sequential. Individuals undergo a series of qualitative change, increasing in extremism. Stage can be utilized to predict what individual will do given the stage. Thus, stage can be used to guide intervention choice. However, the mechanism of change is underemphasized. Non-stage theory, on the other hand, postulates a continuous path. The difference between moderate and the radicalized individual is a matter of degree, not necessarily a qualitative difference. We will discuss two stage theories. One is the Moghadam staircase model of radicalization and the two pyramid model. And one stage theory is the 3N model of radicalization. First stage theory we discuss is Moghadam staircase to terrorism. Moghadam offers a metaphor where radicalization is depicted as a 6-level staircase. Each level is narrower than the previous one. First is perception of injustice and relative deprivation, which lead to the displacement of aggression. Individual channel the rage and morally justifying terrorism, then joining a terrorist group, and finally dehumanizing civilian to make them legitimate target. Each level is thought to be wholly distinct from each other, and each level is required to move forward to the next level. Recently, Megale and Moskalenko argue that radicalization of opinion and action are two different things. Ideas do not necessarily lead to action. Targeting ideas also might produce more backlash. In opinion pyramid consists of, in the top of the pyramid is those who believe that the use of violence is a personal moral obligation, followed by those justify the use of violence in defending the cause, and followed by sympathizer. Well, action pyramid consists of, in the bottom of pyramid is inert individuals who are apolitical. Moving upward, those who are engaging in illegal action or radical. Finally, the top of the pyramid consists of those engaging in violent targeting civilian or terrorists. Next is the non-state theory. The 3N model postulates that need, narrative, and network are the key ingredients for radicalization. Individuals are pushed toward radicalization because they have the need for significance. Narrative provides individuals with means to achieve such significance, for example, by suicide bombing. And network, on the other hand, is provide individuals with validation and results necessary. There are no discontinuities. The difference between moderates and extremists are the degree of need and difference in network and narrative adopted. Now we will discuss insight from Indonesia on radicalization. Many people in general population in Indonesia were also exposed to the same message or the same value as the terrorism-related conflicts. However, the vast majority of them do not involve themselves in terrorism-related activity. Then what differentiates extremists from the general population? The radicalization framework has been used to explain the process through which individuals were recruited into extremist network. From the case of the Bali bomber, their radicalization is found to be accelerated or facilitated by the role of mentor. Before they commit to terrorist act through the process of ideologization, they first identify themselves as Muslim, which drive them toward religious seeking and identity transformation to Muslim kafah or integrated. So from the stage of radicalization, we can explain that they first come to the pre-radicalization, then self-identification, then indoctrination, commitment, and ideologization. We also identify the important role of the operational leader. In the terrorist network cell, operational leader have a higher centrality than ideological leader. It means that operational leader have a higher number of contact with members. This implies that what makes the group stick together is not ideology per se, but rather the relational needs that are satisfied by the operational leader who also their mentor. Then we also testing from the 3N model. Does ideological commitment take precedence over group loyalty? We are testing two rival hypotheses. We collected data from 135 participant terrorism conflict in Indonesia. Two alternative models were tested. Model 1, significant quest predict violent extremism, which is serially mediated by group identity first and ideology. And alternative model is significant quest predict violent extremism, which is serially mediated by ideology first, then group identity. Model 1 has a better fit than the latter. We show that group identity comes before any ideology. From the data of terrorists, we can state, at the very least in Indonesia, terrorism is first driven by relational need. It begins with trust in a leader. The relationship between follower and leader is grounded in relational trust, which develops because the leader fulfills the need of prospective follower who are experiencing deprivation. The leader then validates this prospective follower and to the shared reality constructed within leader-follower interaction and further reinforced through the achievement of collective goal. Group identity becomes stronger. Ideology comes later, emerging through narratives that are continuously shared within the group and validated by the leader. In this sense, ideology can be understood as the end result of the violent radicalization process. And we will share learning from Indonesia Intervention Deradicalization Program. How then should we approach deradicalization? Based on the theories discussed and previous data from the field, there are two strategies we identified in deradicalization. First is disengagement. Focus on the relational need component of radicalization. The focus here is to disengage the conflict from their group while also providing alternative ways to fulfill their needs, which were previously met by the group. Second is ideologization or ideological moderation. One concern related to underlying need has been addressed. We can focus on counter-narrative. This process requires attention to two aspects. First, identifying the extremist belief system and identifying the central and peripheral component within their belief. We identified that participant attitude toward the program might serve as indicator of positive disengagement outcome. Our analysis of the data of 162 conflicts have shown how positive attitude predict better outcome for de-ideologization. Positive attitude indicate conflict adoption of alternative identity. We compare participants who are already disengaged with those who have not. As can be seen from the data, only participants who have a positive attitude to the program show lower radical motivation, lower radical ideology, and higher social inclusivity. And from the ideologization, we focus on the concept of belief system. Ideology can be defined as many things depending on the context of use. However, in the context of the ideologization, it is better to describe ideology as a belief system, which is we can explain as a network interconnected attitude or belief identity that interact with each other. By conceptualizing ideology as a belief system, we can identify two types of components. One is symbolic, relating to identity, and operational, relating to instrumental belief. The network in the belief system can be implied in the central and peripheral component of the belief system. The radicalization can happen through reinterpretation. From the analysis of the belief system, we found that terrorism convicts tend to shift their belief while holding the centrality of the sacred value, as the symbolic component remain constant. We can observe from the example of a convicted terrorist that they reject jihad in Indonesia without rejecting their belief in jihad. Our challenge in the intervention deradicalization program is measurement. It's perhaps the most crucial and the most difficult aspect of deradicalization. We have developed the measurement from the program. The content of the measurement is judged by the expert. We utilize a multi-method approach in measurement. Use self-report, focus group discussion, and interview. We also identified that group affiliation of extremists is important. Jihadist groups play a significant role in the radicalization process by fostering exclusivism, hostility, and a strong commitment to their ideology. To ensure the program is effective, it is essential to consider their commitment to their extremist group and their social network. Finally, we can have a some take-home message that radicalization toward violent extremism is a process. This process is more likely to be first driven by fulfillment of the relational need from the leader-follower interaction. Deradicalization should be designed to disengage extremists from the leader or group and de-ideologize or ideological moderation extremist belief by identifying the peripheral and central component of their belief system. Thank you and see you in the